Hello everyone and welcome. First of all, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. This is gonna be the last video on my channel this year, so I decided to make something more likely special or uncommon for me, and I'm gonna show you my retro build or retro rig. I made that probably around 2 years ago, and I guess that's gonna be a decent time to show you what it is, and then we're gonna run it, see how it works. Maybe gonna run some benchmarks, games, and see what's going on. So first of all, this is Thermaltake Core P8 case, if I'm not mistaken. It comes with a tempered glass panel, and it's installed like that. But even for the previous pitch, I already opened it up, so you can see the guts of this machine. This case is like really huge. For the comparison, you can just for understanding, you see there is a 480mm RAID over there. So it's huge, heavy, but there are a couple of the downsides about this case, or things which I don't like, but I'm gonna come to them in a moment. For the motherboard, we have EVGA SR-2. So this is dual 1366 motherboard. Came somewhere around 2010, 2011, I believe, and it has dual Xeon X5690, so it is top of the line, 6-core, 12 threads per CPU, and they run on like 3.46 or 3.6 gigahertz each. Unfortunately, the multiplier on those are locked because they are just, standard server Xeons. For the RAM, I have 48 gigs of this Corsair Vengeance. And this memory is pretty fast. As you can see, it can run on 2400. However, this board and those CPUs cannot run, if I'm not mistaken, higher than something like 1600 or 1866. I actually don't recall, and that's going to be an interesting thing to take a look. The entire build I made in steampunk-ish thing. So let's get a closer look. So first of all of the pipes are copper. Those are 1/2 inch Home Depot copper pipes. I especially didn't make them perfect because I even didn't clean or brush all of the solders. That was actually like the first turn or the first angle which I did, and that, as you can see, was a little bit ugly. Later they became like better, but yeah, I didn't clean up them on purpose. And especially since this machine been built around 2 years ago, this copper faded even more, and that gives it a nice look. I have some Corsair water blocks which I spray painted, same as Corsair pump and reservoir combo, and power supply, and even 360mm red. So those are standoffs for power supply, again made from the copper pipe. For the GPU, I have dual GPU Radeon 7990, and probably you can see it right there. And this one has some EK water block for AMD Fire Pro, but I realized that, it's suitable for 7990, so why not? We have a plenty of SATA, and if you're old enough and remember, there is even IDE connector, so you can connect your old drives. HX1200i, probably really nice power supply. It even has a monitoring over there, so USB. I put some custom shelved red wires, so it makes them look even nicer, especially with this red RAM, some red SATAs, all kind of these things, and like even red slots. Speaking of slots, this motherboard has 4x16 PCIe, like full 16 lanes for 4 slots, and that comes thanks to dual NF200 chipsets. Personally, I don't like them because I have a bunch of history with cars like GTX 295, where those NF200s tend to die, but it is what it is. And sadly, as you can see, there is a fan over there. I couldn't find the water block for the chipset. So there are actually 4 chips under this heatsinks, 2 NF200, C602, and then something like Intel ICH 9R or maybe 10R for the South Bridge. For the VRM, we have something like 6 phases, if I'm not mistaken, but I can be wrong. It's been a while since I opened this board, but yeah, the top VRM maybe have a little bit more luck because it has the fans right next to it. The bottom one gets cooled from the chipset fan and the entire airflow in the system. From an interesting thing, the CPUs are using 8-pin CPU like EPS connector, and then next to it 6-pin PCIe if you want to. And you can connect both of them or either of them. I tried both those combination. It works just fine. So for the cooling, I have 480 mil rad sitting over there. This is Alpha Cool, and then 360 on the top. That's a Corsair. On the front, I have this nice and meshy distro plate, and on that side there is nothing fancy. It's just a mesh for the radiator. Top is glass, and that's one of the downsides of these cases. There is one really good cooling position or place for the radiator is exactly that one, because eyes on the top, on the front, you don't have that much air movement. You have this tiny little gap over there, and that's how your hot air gets out or gets in your PC. So one of the reasons I put the distro plate on the front panel, it's exactly that one. The next weird thing, as you can see, the rear I/O is far away from the end of the case, and that's another weird thing about this. It is out of box horizontal GPU mount, and if you do like that, your motherboard is going to be far away from your I/O plate. And this case, even so, it looks like really, really huge, and you can see over there is still space between like motherboard and fans, and there are a lot of metal, and the same thing on the bottom. Out of box, you even can't put XL80X motherboard, something which I have like on my test bench, like this G1 Assassin. You can put E80X, so slightly wider, but for sure this SR2 didn't fit that. So I had to do some drilling and putting the standoff. So motherboard is screwed with all of the screws which it's supposed to. And yeah, I just drilled a bunch of holes, I put the standoffs, and I also had to remove the vertical GPU mount. Like over there, it's supposed to have like PSU, and PSU also was vertically mounted, or at least it's supposed to, in that case, out of box, which is weird. So I repurposed this metal bracket, again, drill some holes, put the power supplies. I also screw it to the to this metal plate on which you see the motherboard. It's nice and thick, so this power supply is not going anywhere. And yeah, some copper stands to hold this one. For the pump, it was easier. It's a standard, 120 mil fan mount, so that was relatively easy. And for one more nice thing, let me show you those nice quarter-inch G14 plugs for the water cooling. As you can see, they are not just plastic or something. They are made from metal, and they have the real gears from clock mechanism. So I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. If I'm not mistaken, they are from Barrow, but I'm gonna take a look. And yeah, for the GPU, I put 7990 because by the time what I had with a custom water block dual GPU. These days I have dual 680 water cooled, so I may replace single 7990 with dual 680s. Even so, 680 is personally not my favorite card. So that's probably for overlook for the system. And yeah, for fans, I have some ridiculously looking Asia horse or something like that. I have the same kind of fans in my main PC. When I saw it, I was like, damn, that's something ridiculous. But then I was like, you know what? It looked a little bit, it has something into it. So I also put them, and actually that was the first system where I put those fans, and then I put it in my main rig. I didn't have any liquid leakages for the last 2 years, and that's the level which I never feel. Surely when I power it on, some of the coolant gonna go to something like this pump. Oh, sorry, water block, but it's still gonna be it's still gonna have certain level. And this build traveled as is for probably more than 2,000 miles. And yeah, as you can probably see, this GPU is sagging a bit, and probably is a good compression. This pipe is not the best compression, but you can see on this PCIe slot, so it's sagging like couple of meals. And for the future upgrades, I may think about putting some, vertical copper pipe to the bottom. I will need to make some bracket and install that for GPU support. But yeah, those pipes or this GPU is not going anywhere. It's like nice and steady. Those hard tubes or rigid pipes, they are really, really good for that. Plus, since everything is copper, I even get some extra benefits from that. It's, extra cooling surface. And it's copper. It should be good. Some of the stuff looks like more decorative, like this connector. You just connect two different sections of the distro plate, but that's used for real. The water is flowing, as you can see. The water is flowing from here to here. I could just put plug and do a little bit like one turn over there, but I decided like, you know what? That's gonna be looking cooler. So yeah, that's for the quick overview on my retro build. Let me grab the monitor, connect it, and fire it up. And maybe for the quick I/O overlook. So yeah, 7990 for mini display ports plus DVI, and we have mini display port to display port, so that should be good. Two 1G Ethernets, 6-channel audio, two eSATA, two USB 3.0, I believe reset CMOS button, and some EVGA overclocking panel, and one PS2, which is a little bit weird or a little bit interesting. Over there you can see those NEC USB 3.0 connector. Unfortunately, there is no header for that on the motherboard, so I can't use my front panel USB. In this case, has front panel USB 3, but since I don't have that, then it is what it is. For now, they are not connected and not utilized. But yeah, I would say that's probably it for the system overview. Let me connect the monitor, grab the keyboard, mouse, and let's fire it up. Alright, so the system is up, and let me show you how does it look when it's on. So I have a purple-ish color for both water blocks and for the pump. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the any LEDs on the bottom, so it just goes from the top with Corsair logo. Then all of the fans are frosty blue, and under power supply I put nice and orange yellowish color. And then the front distro plate is purple bluish. I really like how that one came, and that's why I keep it as is. And also, that's other thing which I mentioned, I really like how this mesh or dust filter works on top of this distro plate. As you can see, there is only one spot which I didn't utilize from this entire distro plate. The entire pieces are full of water and being used for real. From the inside, looks like that, and still have this nice clockwork stuff. Originally, I wanted to put or wanted to make all of the color as like really nice and orange, but there were a couple of issues. One, at least for now, the coolant really doesn't stack with orange. It looks really bad. The second one, as you can see, I have different kind of devices, and all of them has different kind of LEDs. Even if I put the same signal for all of them, they give me completely different colors. So I decided to keep the fans as frosty blue, then water blocks and pump purple. Actually, in reality, it's more red, so it's a little bit more matching the copper, but camera has its own discoloration and filtering. For the motherboard, we have buttons over here, reset, power, and clear CMOS. We have a bunch of red LEDs for PCA devices, and for sure, dual 7-segment indicators for post and temp, and then a couple of LEDs nearby with SATA. But yeah, once again, I really like how this front distro plate looks. Alright, yeah, let me quickly walk through the BIOS, show you the specs of this machine. But again, today's video is not about overclocking, repairing, pushing system to the edge, testing thermals and all kinds of things, but just to show you the pretty cool, in my opinion, retro build which I built some time back. So BIOS was built all the way in 2013, so this board had a decent support. There are two of our Intel Xeons 5690 running on 347. In theory, they probably can boost. I'm not sure. I probably need to take a look on the specs. We have our 48 gigs of RAM. So as you can see, we have 8:40 p.m. Monday, December 29. In fact, it's actually 10:40 p.m. already. So this time is a bit off, but that's actually, let's update the time. Then, there are nothing like really interesting things. We have SATA 3.0, we have USB 3.0. That's from a good things, like kind of non-standard for the age of the platform. There are dedicated controllers to do that. And then we have ability to do a little bit of overclocking. So our multiplier is 26. And as you can see, I can't go beyond it. I can overclock stuff by base clock. But again, probably not for today. For that kind of retro system, I'm fine with having 3.5 gigahertz on the CPU, especially considering I have 12 physical cores. Even so, like dual CPU systems are sketchy. They have like NUMA and all of this stuff, allocation, memory assignment, and so on, so on. But at least they have 24 gigs per CPU, so that's pretty enough for most of the things. From a SAT moment, DDR3 memory speed can go here only up to 1333. So there is no like real benefit of having 2400 megahertz on this memory, and it's completely waste of this nice RAM sticks. But it is what it is, and that's what I had. Plus, I still may have some benefits from that. I probably can drop down the voltage or tune the timings, make them lower. But again, that's fine for now. So let's save and boot the system up. And we have a nice splash screen. This motherboard doesn't support UEFI or anything like that. So, and it doesn't, as you can guess, it doesn't support boot from NVMe. You can boot and install OS on NVMe, but that requires some workaround. Like you can put some custom bootloader on your SATA drive or on your USB sticks, and then boot the OS from NVMe. I tried that sometime in past, and that's something which I can do and install, I don't know, Windows 10, or in best case scenario, Windows 7. For something like Vista, it's really problematic and almost impossible to find a decent NVMe driver. So even if you have your NVMe available for installation or booting up, if your OS doesn't have a driver, then it just doesn't work. Neither OS or installer see that machine or see that disk. Okay, so let's get closer and take a quick look on the specs. And then we're just gonna run some benchmarks and answer the main question. Can it run Crysis? I have Crysis over there installed, so that's gonna be pretty cool. Okay, yeah, that looks good enough for me. Again, little bit imperfect, but that's fine. So we have Xeon X50 690, 347, 48 gigs of RAM, and 7900 series. So in display settings, as you can see, I can have enormous amount of monitors. Yes, I'm running Full HD. I can go all the way to 2560 by 1440, and I'm running it on DisplayPort. I don't know if Vista can have higher refresh rate on that one, and if that GPU support higher refresh rate, but over here I can have only 60 Hertz in that resolution. So let's drop to 1600 by 900, so it's going to be better visible for camera. Yes. And for that resolution, let's see. That's funny. I still locked to the 60. because that's a really interesting moment. If I go to Full HD, I can put 75 on that. So that doesn't make much sense for me. As you can see, I can switch it to 75 and have somewhat higher refresh rate than 60. And yeah, as you can see, it works no problem with 75. But yeah, let's go down 1600 by 900. Again, I don't know why it's locked to 60, but so in computer settings, we have our Xeon X5690, 2 processors, 48 gigs of RAM. That's too many CPU cores for a system like that, which runs something like a Vista. I mean, physically it has 12 CPUs, which is already a lot of, and that one runs hyper-threading. And as you can see, how little of RAM we utilizing. And yeah, I'm missing those Vista sidebar. On my test bench, I shut it down, and I'm sitting in like non-DVM mode for getting extra performances, these kind of things. But on my retro system, I don't care. That's the system which I just run and enjoy. So yeah, from the specs perspective, there's nothing like really spectacular. Standard machine 7990. It just, I mean, it's water cooled. That's already good, but it's completely standard spec, no overclocked, nothing special version. So this one probably a ULPS active, as you can see. So that GPU is already in sleep mode and in shutdown, which is kind of cool considering the age of the hardware and the age of the OS, that it still can run ULPS on Vista and can shut down one of the chips. So the second one going to be up and running, yeah, 33C on the core on 7990. That's pretty neat. We have PCIe 16 3.0, which lies because this board supports only 2.0, but since it goes through PLX, and PLX gives 3.0 to each GPU on the output, that's how you can see this fake data. Even if I put it in 1.1 or 1.0, 4.0 or 5.0, it doesn't matter. That card will always show you 16 3.0 because that's the PLX bridge, what it does. Yep, it says enable 2 GPUs, but yeah, pretty standard thing. Unfortunately, I can't run MSI Afterburner. I don't know why. As you can see, it says RSTS has stopped working, and it is the same version which I have on my test bench on Vista. So I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I may reinstall the system over there. So no monitoring for me. But again, I don't think I really care. And you can see my crisis icon is trapped, so let me get it back. I guess let's just standard run some 3D marks even, and then I'll answer the main question. Can it run Crysis? I mean, this machine is like, what, 4 or 5 years ahead of the game, but still, it was high demanding game, and Crysis supported multi-GPUs, so that's gonna be neat. So for the settings, graphics, 1600 by 900 full screen, no VSync for now, as maximum quality which I can put, since this AMD card, it doesn't let me put 16. Even that one, because if I put very high, okay, so everything is on very high, so I need to put display info 1, I believe, yes. So now we have our stats over there, and that's our 900 FPS. So let me load something. I like the scenery, that specific place, so I always load that one. And then we're gonna run a default benchmark. But over there, on everything high, 1600 by 900, we have our 40 FPS, and Crossfire is enabled. The sun is beautiful, we have 60 FPS when we look on it. We have drops still like 40s and high 30s. Later, I will put Windows 7 on that, and I will have Afterburning up and running, or at least reinstall Vista, because it looks like there are some things are messed up. But over there, you can see DirectX 10, 64-bit, very high spec, HDR, multi-GPU dev mode. So our FPS again varies from 42 to 70. I saw as low as 37. But yeah, that's the default benchmark. And default benchmark actually gives us a decent frame rate. And while it's running Crysis, let me show you the thermals of the system. So as for the thermals, we can see the hotspot is in right bottom corner of the motherboard, and that one is 49C. So our GPU stays on the 40, our top red is only 32. So yeah, we have a decent cooling. And for summarize, once again, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you for going through this year together with me. There were quite a few interesting projects, repairs, GPUs, and I have a bunch of even ongoing things, but I decided that for a new year, I want to bring up something cool, and that's why I brought up my retro build. Yes, there are always room for improvement, and I probably need to reinstall OS, do some fine-tuning, maybe overclocking and this kind of things, but for now, it doesn't really matter. I wish you all the best in 2026. Hopefully this year gonna be a great one for all of you and also for me. I hope that I'm gonna have enough time for some of my projects, repairs, GPU reviews, all kind of things, maybe some kind of interesting laptops, and maybe I'm gonna do another retro build. But yeah, thank you everyone, and wish you all the best in 2026.